Hi guys, I hope you're having a great day. So in this video, I'm going to be working on a few different projects to add into my fall decor, and I decided to see what I could come up with using some of the Dollar Tree rope. This is the natural cotton rope that they have, and they actually have this in different sizes, and then they have a darker brown option as well. So I thought it would be fun, see what I can come up with in using some of the rope in a few different ideas. So that's what I'm working on in this video. Let's get started. First project, I'm using a pizza pan from Dollar Tree, and I'm also using a sign that I had previously purchased at Dollar Tree as well. It's a really pretty fall sign, and I found that it fit perfectly inside the pizza pan. The pan actually looks like it frames the sign, which I think is a lot of fun, but I want to go ahead and decorate it quite a bit further, and so I'm going to use the sign, flip it over, remove the jute hanger just by tucking the ends through the holes. Then I'm going to trace it onto some scrapbook paper, and I chose to use a buffalo check print. I'm going to cut that out and attach it to my sign using some Mod Podge. The next thing I did was attach the sign to the pizza pan using some hot glue. So I set that aside because I knew I wanted to add a wood pumpkin to the center of my sign, so I'm going to start by working on that. I bought this pumpkin at Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to remove the hanger and remove the raffia bow that's attached to the pumpkin, and I'm going to be using that on a project later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But this year I'm really loving neutral colors, so I am going to start by painting the pumpkin white. The next thing I did was attach the pumpkin to the sign using some hot glue. Decided to go ahead and use some rope from Dollar Tree to add a fun border around the sign, and I'm just going to attach it using some hot glue. So after I had the rope attached all the way around the sign, I cut off the excess and tucked the edge down into the glue, and then moved on to making a bow for the top of the pumpkin. I used some burlap ribbon, cut it to the size that I wanted, then added that decorative V-notch at each end of the ribbon, and I just gathered it up in my hand and decided to layer it with some fall leaf print ribbon that I also had. And I just cut 2 pieces, added it to my burlap ribbon as a layered look, and then cut the ends of that ribbon at an angle. And then I used a piece of paddle wire just to secure everything in place and to keep that gathered look that I wanted on the burlap ribbon. And then I attached it to my pumpkin with some hot glue. And to dress up my bow even further, I'm using this black suede ribbon that has some silver stud detail that I found at Walmart. It really sparkles and just has a really high-end look to it. And I thought it would be fun as the center of my bow. So I just cut a small piece of the ribbon and attached it to the center. And I feel like it really dresses up that bow and just has a really pretty look to it. Now I think it's pretty the way it is, but I decided to go a little bit further and add a fun decorative accent to the bottom of my sign. The rope had come undone a little bit on the end, and I thought, how fun would it be to add some fringe detail to the bottom of my sign. So I just went across the 3 pieces that had come unraveled with some hot glue to secure them together at the top. I cut that off, and then I hot glued it to the bottom of my sign. And then I decided to add a rope bow as well. So I just turned the rope into a bow shape using some hot glue, and then I used the old hanger that was actually on the sign that I started with, wrapped it around the center using some hot glue to secure it in place, and then I'm going to attach that to the sign as well. And I think this is turning out really, really pretty. And to complete my sign, of course, I needed a hanger, so I just used a little bit of hot glue, a piece of black and white gingham ribbon, and attached a little loop to the back of the sign. And I think this is going to be a really fun addition to my fall decor. The next project, using the same rope, I'm just going to be coiling it around itself basically making some coasters or a coaster shape, which actually I did end up making a couple of coasters, one for my husband's nightstand, one for mine, and I'm really happy with them. Now my wheels are turning and I'm thinking of all kinds of ideas I could use this rope for. But for this project, I'm just showing you how I made a couple of coasters and how I'm using this same concept to make a fun pumpkin sign. So that's what I'm working on now. So I just used hot glue, coiled the rope around on it itself till I got to the end. I cut off the end, and then I was just real careful to get the end secured onto itself as well. And I love how this turned out, and here it is with one of my coffee cups on it as a coaster. I think it's so much fun. I just am really pleased with how this turned out. So now I'm using that same coiled rope for this sign. I have this small black and white check sign I purchased at Dollar Tree, but I'm going to dress it up using one of my coiled ropes. I'm going to turn that into a fun pumpkin. So I'm just going to hot glue it in place over the welcome fall sign, and then I'm going to work on adding a stem. And for the stem, I actually used a darker brown rope that I also had purchased at Dollar Tree, just glued it onto itself to give it a thicker look, and then I hot glued that in place. And then you'll see that I reused that raffia bow that I took off of the first project sign on my new pumpkin, and I am loving how this looks. And then I did go ahead and add a metal word thankful to the front of this sign, which also comes from Dollar Tree. They have them for many different holidays, and they usually come in a 3-pack with different sayings, and so that's where it came from. I'm just going to hot glue it to the front of my sign, and this project is done. And I'm loving the neutral decor this year, and this fits right in, so I'm really happy with how this one turned out as well. The last project, I'm going to work on dressing up one of these Dollar Tree pumpkins with some rope. I'm just removing the plastic stem that was on the pumpkin and making the hole in the top of the pumpkin a little bit bigger and tucking in some rope. And I'm using the darker colored rope for this particular project. You could of course use whatever rope that you want, and I end up using hot glue each time that I start or end the rope around the pumpkin. It just helped secure it in place so that it didn't come out along with my scissors as I was tucking it down into the pumpkin. And I did have to add a hole to the bottom because I did want the rope tucked down inside so that I didn't have a big wad of rope at the bottom of my pumpkin. I do want it to sit nicely when I am done, and so that is why I went ahead and added the hole to the bottom as well. And so as you can see, I used a little bit of hot glue each time I added rope to the top or the bottom and tucked it in with scissors to keep it in place so that it didn't come out with my scissors if it got a little bit snug. And so I'm just going to continue doing this around the pumpkin until I have as much rope as I want on the pumpkin, and then we will take a look. So after I had the rope added to my pumpkin, I knew I wanted to add a stem using that same rope, but I wanted it to be much thicker. So I used a little bit of hot glue, folded it over on itself, and then back over it again so that I had a much thicker stem. And then I just cut off the excess and hot glued it in place. And I wanted to dress it up further with a bow, so I just used that same fall leaf patterned ribbon that I used on the first project, made a simple single loop bow and set that aside, cut a piece of the same burlap ribbon with the V-notch cut out and attached those to my pumpkin, and I think it turned out really, really cute. I hope you enjoyed these projects and this video. If you did, please like it, give it a thumbs up, comment to let me know. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps my channel out. If you're new here, I would love it if you hit subscribe and hung around. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day, and thanks for watching.